All right, what's going on, man? We got a market recap today for Tuesday, June 30th. I personally took no trades this morning. Um, this is what the higher time frames are looking like right now. My main target was this daily buy side liquidity, um, reacting out of this 4 hour gap, and just wasn't able to get filled. So we're gonna go over. Honestly, this was the bias for today. Wasn't able to get filled. If you were trading today, you know that this daily buy side liquidity was the main target. Even though there was an SMT with ES, it still made sense for the NASDAQ to continue higher towards it. I thought there might have been potential to come down and take this 1 hour low within the 4 hour gap to get a bit of a deeper retrace before continuing higher. The reason I thought that was because the hourly candle before the market opened, we kind of got a market structure shift. Hourly candle closed below the swing low. It also ran through the bullish hourly imbalance. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's potential to come down and take this liquidity within the imbalance to further rebalance before continuing higher. So because of that, I was zoomed in wanting to potentially see these 15-minute gaps hold. Boom, something like that. But we immediately opened up the market and ran through and displaced through these 15-minute gaps. So at that point in time, honestly, after the first 5-minute candle of market open here, which closed above these internal highs, I'm looking to go long at this point. And I placed a limit order down here for as tight of a stop loss as I could place. The limit order was something like this for a 1.2. In reality, could I have gone for a 1-to-1? Yeah, I probably could have. But so this high, it was actually before this mini retrace right here. So it was before we came up and essentially took this buy side liquidity already. So it was something like right here. So even a 1-to-1 wouldn't have gotten filled with a completely safe stop loss. I don't believe, because it would have been really, really close. So I just wasn't able to get filled. And then we came up and formed an equal high on MNQ, but NQ actually took that high. So because NQ actually took that high, I took my limit order off, and I wasn't willing to continue to place a limit order at an SMT high to go long with equal highs above, or not equal highs, but with NQ already had taken the high. I wasn't willing to continue to place a limit order. You can see, I'm just gonna pull it up on NQ because it did end up taking the high. You can see that same 1-minute candle did end up taking the high on NQ, so that's why I took my limit order off. Had NQ not actually taken the high, I would have likely left my limit order within this 5-minute gap. This would have been a textbook limit order, wanting to see continuation higher. Would I have actually gotten filled here? Potentially, because knowing that I am on an eval, I don't need that 1.2 RR. It's literally negative RR the way that I trade these evals. So that was the trade of the morning, and just nothing to target after that point in time. And it looks like we're running through this daily imbalance, so then we can have a bullish bias throughout the rest of the week towards these relative equal highs and all-time highs, which should be really, really good. So no trades today for me, which sucks, and it's unfortunate because I'm on evals. So I want to get them passed fast, but like I'm not going to just force something just for the sake of forcing it. Yeah. In terms of yesterday, I did blow a set, and so I'm going to be as transparent as possible. Although I didn't feel like making a market recap yesterday. This was the first break-even trade that I took. I felt like I had confirmation higher after this 15-minute candle close above the internal high, which I did. So I set a limit order for a 1.2. We got a slight retrace. I get filled here, went break even at the internal highs, and this was an A+ textbook break even trade. So nothing to regret about this one. I then ended up flipping my bias, because if you were in the markets yesterday, you saw this crazy displacement, and move lower after the initial longs failed off open. So at this point in time, you can see the displacement confirmation close after failing higher confirms potentially the move lower to these sell side targets. And I entered with a limit order here, and it's not like I broke my rules yesterday, but it's like at the same time I said limit ordering with a move against the initial bias towards high resistance liquidity, because if we zoom out, this is a high resistance area. We've already swept and rejected multiple and failed multiple times at this area of price. So targeting these lows, you have to be a little bit more cautious. So setting a limit order while targeting high resistance liquidity isn't the most optimal thing. And then also considering the fact that this retracement leg was 120 points because of how big this move was. So if the retracement is this deep and it's 120 points, I have the ability to just wait for confirmation out of there, wait for the retrace and wait for the displacement flip out of there. I can wait for extra confirmation, and also being later into market open, there's no need to be placing a limit order all the way up here. If we're going to retrace all the way up here, it is equilibrium. The initial move did fail higher off open, so I'd expect if we wanted to go higher, it would have happened here. But just because of that, and because it's high resistance liquidity, and because it is technically going against my initial high time frame draw in liquidity, which was higher, and this gives me the ability to wait for extra confirmation, wait for the retrace, and then confirmation out of it when it's this big of a move. And I'm in a scenario like this, if I'm placing a limit order, yes, I feel like the draw in liquidity is confirmed after these bearish closes, but if we're going to get this big of a retrace, I have the ability to wait for reactions out of it rather than just placing a big limit order. And this is something where I placed the limit order and I had it here for a while, and then we eventually filled lower, and it's like we're retracing. Do I really want to keep this limit order? And I ended up keeping it on partly because it is an eval and I just kind of wanted to get in a trade, to be honest. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not that I necessarily broke my rules or anything, but definitely room for improvement there. Yes, the 50-minute candles are great, but at this point, wait for a retrace flip because of the context around it, high resistance liquidity, and the retracement to my limit order is 250 points. So I have room to get even more confirmation, which I should want because I'm targeting lows that have already been swept plus rejected. So, and then I said here, this would be the actual good entry. After failing higher, we then come back down, close below the internal low on the 5-minute chart. 5-minute candle closed below the internal low after failing higher. This would have been the initial, like, actual good early entry for this. But if I don't catch this initial entry and we come all the way down here, I'm able to wait for the retrace and flip out of there. Because in order to get a good RR on the trade for a 1.2 limit order, like, the entry has to be all the way up here. So I can wait for a reaction out of there. So took an L yesterday. Wasn't in the mood to make a recap. And so yeah, on these new, still have 3 that are reset. So I know as long as I can continue to follow my rules, I'm going to be just fine. It just sucks a little bit because I'm in this position because of myself. And I should still be on XFAs if I had not blown up last week, but I'm in this position because of myself. So that loss hurts a little bit more than it normally would have. But just gotta keep a positive mindset and continue to follow exactly how I know to trade, because I know it'll all play out as long as I execute how I should. So like I said, looks like we're going to be primed for longs later this week. Hopefully can catch a few trades to end the week. But we'll just see what happens. So that's the market recap for me. That's where I currently am with these accounts. And yeah, as long as I come into each day and do what I know I'm supposed to do, then there's nothing to really be worried about. So that's the market recap. Appreciate you watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow in the next one. Peace.